بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف, the author says رحمه الله, وهنا بيان لتعريف بعض المصطلحات النحوية. And here is clarification about the definition of some grammatical terminologies. ليتصورها طالب العلم, so that the student of knowledge would envision them. قبل البدء بقراءة الشرح, before commencing with reading the explanation. I just want to draw your attention to grammar, as far as I can tell, is more general. It covers everything. The word grammar in English, covers spelling and different fields. Nahu is the knowledge of how the words relate to each other and affect each other. So I think that Nahu is syntax more closely than grammar. فنقول, and so we say, الفاعل, the fa'il, okay. Doer. من قام به الفعل, the one by whom the act took place. Qama means here wujida. One of the meanings of qiyam is wujud. And one of the names of Allah is Al-Qayyum. That's from Al-Qiyam. And Al-Qayyum is Al-Mawjud, Ad-Da'im, etc., with other expressions too. So Al-Fa'ilu man qama bihi al-fi'l is the one by whom the act existed. Meaning here, though, he's the subject of a verb. Remember, Arabic has two types of sentences: jumla fi'liya and jumla ismiya. Jumla fi'liya, a verbal sentence. Jumlatun ismiya, a nominal sentence. English has one type of sentence, which is verbal. This means that in Arabic you can make a sentence with a verb or without a verb. In English you cannot make a sentence correctly without a verb. So in English you have a subject and a predicate. And the predicate's going to be a verb. In Arabic, though, you have mubtada and khabar, and you have fi'l and fa'il. He started here with fa'il. That's the subject of a verbal sentence. وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَرْفُوعًا, and that would not be but in the state of rafa', approximately nominative. Inshallah, when we get closer to the word rafa', we'll see what we have there. Nahwu qama Zayd, like qama Zayd. Zayd stood. Subject and predicate. In this case, fi'l wa fa'il. So I'm going to call it verbal subject. And verbal predicate, because it's a verbal sentence. So what's going on here? Qama, fi'lun madin, that's a past tense verb.
Yes.
Mabniyun ala al-fath, it's structured with a fatha on its end, or built with a fatha on its end. وَزَيْدٌ فَاعِل. Zayd is the fa'il, the doer of this verb, or the verbal subject of this sentence. Marfu' in the state of rafa', approximately nominative or subjective. بِضَمَّةٍ ظَاهِرَةٍ. And the sign of its state of rafa' is a plainly stated dhamma, a clear or apparent dhamma, because you say it. Zaydun. وَالْمَفْعُولُ. And the maf'ul, the done. مَنْ وَقَعَ عَلَيْهِ الْفِعْلِ. Is whomever upon him fell the act. So that's different from fa'il. Maf'ul, the done one, is the one upon whom the act fell. وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَنْصُوبًا. And that would not be but mansub, approximately accusative. And what's meant by maf'ul here is what we would say direct object. Nahwu darabtu Zayda. I hit Zayd. What's going on here? Darabtu. Daraba fi'lun madin, past tense verb. Mabni here has a sukoon. Darabtu. This sukoon, we'll come back to talk about it later, not now. Darabtu Zayda. So daraba is the fi'l maldi, past tense verb. He hit. But to, I. So I hit. Darabtu. To, ta. What's the name of this letter here? Ta. That's its name. Ta madmuma. Ta with a dhamma. That's a pronoun. Damir. So what ta'u damirun muttasil. The ta is a connected pronoun. Mabniyun ala dhamm. Structured with a dhamma or a dhamm. Fi mahalli rafa', in the spot, in the nominative position of the sentence, acting as the subject of the sentence. So mahal, that's an important word. Fi mahal, in the spot of. Zayda, Zaydan, I hit. Zaydan, Zayd maf'ulun bihi, is direct object. Mansub, in a state of nasb, approximately accusative. وعلامة نصبه فتحة ظاهرة. The sign of its nasb is a clear fatha. والمضاف إليه. Okay, the mudaf and the mudaf ilayhi, those are the two pieces, the two elements of an idafa, a genitive construction or possessive construction.
No.
But the word idafa itself means annexation or something like that. Kullu ismaini, every two nominals, بينهما نسبة جزئية, they have every two nominals between which there is some mashallah. Nisbatun juz'iyya is like saying they're related to each other by being pieces of each other. Every two words that become related to each other by becoming pieces of each other. Nahwu ghulamu Zayd, like ghulamu Zayd, the slave or slave boy or lad of Zayd. In order for us to achieve this structure, what did we do? We refrained from putting al on ghulam, and we removed the tanween from ghulam off the meme. So we're not going to say al-ghulam, and we're not going to say ghulamun, so that we can achieve the idafa. And then we're going to bring Zayd and put Zayd in the state of jar. Zaydin, ghulamu Zaydin. Now it's like they are hitched together. Al-ghulamu mansubun li Zayd. The ghulam here is attributed to Zayd. ثُمِّيَ الْأَوَّلُ مُضَافًا وَالثَّانِي مُضَافًا إِلَيْهِ. The first was called a mudaf. The first part was called a mudaf. And the second part was called a mudaf ilayhi. Yani, mudaf means annexed. And mudaf ilayhi means annexed to it. والمضاف يكون إعرابه بحسب العوامل التي قبله. The mudaf, the first part, its i'rab would be in accordance with the agents, al-awamil, the workers, meaning the other words in the sentence that are looking for some word to affect allati qablahu, whatever is before it. Although that's not a condition, that's just what you say for a beginner. What comes before it? It could be after it. It depends on the word. Some words are strong enough to affect what's before them and what's after them. Some words are only strong enough to affect what's after them. Some words are so weak they can only affect a word if they are in direct contact with them and there can't even be a separation between them. وَالْمُضَافُ إِلَيْهِ لَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَجْرُورًا. And the annexed to it, the second part, would not be but in the genitive case, the state of jar. He says, وَظَرْفُ الزَّمَانِ, the envelope of time. وهو اسم الزمان الذي يقع فيه الحدث. That is the name of the time in which the event occurred. The name of the time in which the event occurred. Nahu, such as Sumtu Yawm al-Khamis. I fasted the day of Thursday. So here it's Yawm. The word Yawm is the zarf, the envelope of time. Okay, so here I think that one thing that helps, that makes Arabic very clear, is explaining the grammar of Arabic with simple Arabic words. That makes it relatable, as opposed to, and this is a theme in much of Western education, not just grammar, as opposed to putting the terms of the science in a different language and making them foreign words, then that makes it not relatable. And that makes it even difficult on the layman because he doesn't know those words. So, for example, they say in English, noun. I think noun pretty much means name, but no, you don't use the word noun for other than a grammar word, as far as I know. Verb, is specifically a grammar word, adjective, all these words, right? We don't use them other than in grammar. Whereas the Arabic terminology is really simple words. It's like pragmatic. So what's an ism? It's the name of something. That's pretty simple and straightforward. And what's a fi'l? It's a doing. Fi'l literally is a fi'l, right? So here, notice he says, وَالظَّرْفُ الزَّمَانِ هُوَ اسْمُ الزَّمَانِ. The zarf of zaman, the envelope of time, it is ismu zaman, the name of the time. Ism here means noun. It's a noun. But if the word noun doesn't register for you here, I'd say that's good, because that shows you how organic the Arabic is. Hu asmu zaman. It's the name of the time. Yani it's the noun that has the meaning of time. Hu asmu zamani alladhi yaqa'u fihi al-hadath. It is the name of the time in which the event occurs. Nahu, such as sumtu yawm al-khamis. I fasted the day of yawm, the day of al-khamis, Thursday. So here, sumtu comes from sama. So sumtu فعل ماض تاء ضمير مبني على الضم في محل رفع فاعل يوم ظرف زمان mansub in the state of nasb. Zarf means envelope or container. Sumtu yawm al-khamis. I fasted yawm al-khamis. So yawm, day, is zarf zaman. The envelope of time, mansub, in the state of nasb, accusative. Wa huwa mudaf, and it's annexed. Al-Khamis, Thursday. I fasted the day of Thursday. Al-Khamis is mudaf ilayhi, what's annexed to. Majroor, in the state of jar, genitive. وعلامة جره الكسرة الظاهرة, and the sign of its jar is an apparent kasra. وظرف المكان, and the envelope of place. هو اسم المكان, it is the name of the place, يعني the noun that has the meaning of the place. هو اسم المكان الذي يقع فيه الحدث, it is the name of the place in which the event occurs. Because a sentence is for recalling events, mentioning events. Verbs are basically events. نحو جلست أمام الشيخ, such as جلست أمام الشيخ, I sat before the sheikh, or in front of. So جلست فعل ماض, past tense verb, تاء ضمير متصل, connected pronoun, مبني على الضم, structured on a ضمة, في محل رفع, in the spot of رفع, nominative, فاعل, as the doer of the verb. Amam, before or in front of. Zarful makan is the envelope of place. Mansub, in the state of nasb, accusative. وعلامة نصبه فتحة, its sign of nasb is a fatha, clear, ظاهرة. وهو مضاف, and it's annexed. الشيخ mudafun ilayhi is what's annexed to, in front of the sheikh. Majroor wa alamatu jarrihi kasrah, kasratun zahira. It's in a state of jar, and its sign of jar is a clear kasra. وكل من ظرف الزمان وظرف المكان لا يكون إلا منصوبا. And both the envelope of time and of place would not be but in a state of nasb. Now these two, they have another name, which is al-maf'ulu fih. You have al-maf'ulu fihi, the what was done in al-maf'ulu fihi. So that's dharf zaman and dharf makan, both of them maf'ul fihi. And you'll notice that prepositions are interchangeable, very oftenly interchangeable between time and place. You can use the same word for both of them. And also what? Status. Those three. Prepositions, you can use them for time, place, and status. The status is like the figurative way. It's literally a time or a place, but you can use it for a status. Wal-hal, and the circumstance, meaning the adverb. Another example here. What does adverb mean to a regular person, a normie? Adverb doesn't mean anything to a normie. Wal-hal, anyone who knows Arabic understands the word hal. The case, the circumstance. هو الاسم الذي يبين هيئة الذات وقت الفعل. It is the name that clarifies the form of the self. What form does the self have at the time of the action? Upon what form is the self at the time of the action? Meaning, it's about the kayfiyah. The how, the mode, the way. نحو جاء زيد راكبا, such as جاء زيد راكبا, Zayd came riding. So راكبا is hal, mansub, adverb in accusative position. وعلامة نصبه فتحة ظاهرة. Its sign of nasb is a clear fatha. ولا يكون إلا منصوبا, and it would not be but in a state of nasb. والتمييز, and the distinction or the distinguisher. هو الاسم المبين من بهم من الذوات أو النسب. It is the nominal that clarifies what is obscure of selves, concrete things. It is the nominal or the noun that clarifies the obscurity in something concrete. Owing nisab, or it clarifies the obscurity in some relationship. Nahu, such as Indi ritlun zayta, I have a ritl, which is a measurement. Why don't I say, for example, a quart? Indi ritlun zayta, I have a quart of olive oil. Now, if you were to say only Indi ritl, I have a quart, or I have a kilogram. Okay, that's a complete sentence. It's not even a fragment. But there's something obscure. Because measurements are inherently obscure. So you need to bring something that clarifies the obscurity. So you say, Indi ritlun, I have a quart, or I have a kilogram. Zaytan, of olive oil. Now in English it's translating into of such and such. Sometimes the temyiz will translate by using the word in also, of or in. But in Arabic, it's its own convention. عندي رطل زيت. I have a ritl of zayt. I haven't found in English anything that's really an equivalent translation of temyiz. وطاب محمد نفسا. And Muhammad was nice in personality, let's say. So if you just say Taba Muhammad, Muhammad was nice, there's something obscure here. In what way? How so? So, nafsan, his self. Good, nice disposition. وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَنْصُوبًا. And that would not be also but mansub in a state of nasb, accusative. Also, what's inherently ambiguous? Numbers. So if you say, I have 2, okay, sure. وَالْمَفْعُولُ لِأَجْلِهِ. And that which was done for a sake. That which was done for a sake. That's a type of maf'ul, a type of object. Every maf'ul is governed by a verb. It's just from what perspective, though? What meaning does it promote? Time, or does it promote the meaning of motivation? Or does it have the meaning of something else? So Arabic has all these mafa'il, these verbal objects. وَالْمَفْعُولُ لِأَجْلِهِ. That which was done for a sake. هو الاسم الذي فعل الفعل لأجله. It is the noun that was mentioned. It is the noun for which the verb was done. For which the verb was done. It is the noun for which the verb was done. وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَنْصُوبًا. And it would not be but in a state of nasb, accusative. نحو قمت إجلالا لزيد. Such as قمت إجلالا لزيد. I stood out of honor of Zayd. So we had to say out of to get that meaning of motivation. Or we're going to say for the sake of, or for the purpose of, or something like that. And so again, here Arabic has its own convention for that. And an example of this maf'ul li'ajlihi we know is the saying of Allah Ta'ala, ibtigha al-fitnah. They do it seeking fitna, for the purpose of fitna. The people who misinterpret the mutashabih ayat. منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة. As for those who have perversity in their hearts, they pursue what is ambiguous of the book for the purpose of causing fitna, for that sake. وَالْمَفْعُولُ مَعَهُ. And that which was done in association with. And that which was done in association or in accompaniment. هو الاسم المقترن بواو المعية. That is the noun that comes along with the wow that has the meaning of accompaniment. وَفُعِلَ الْفِعْلُ مَعَهُ, and the act will have been done with it, along with it. نحو, such as جاء الأمير والجيش. The Amir came and the army, if one wanted to translate it like that. Really, though, if that fatha is there, he should say with the army. جاء الأمير والجيش. The Amir came with the army, is the meaning. أي مع الجيش. ولا يكون إلا منصوبا, and it would not be but in the state of nasb. And that sentence has wajhan, two ways to read it. So you can say جاء الأمير والجيش, then it would mean the Amir and the army came. If you say جاء الأمير والجيش, then it means the Amir came with the army, along with them. If you say and the army, that doesn't necessitate that they were with him. They could have been with him or before him or after him.
Interesting.
MashaAllah. Yes, they say the wow, that's a mere conjunction, does not dictate sequence. So that's why for the Hanafis, there's no evidence in the wow, in the ayah of wudu, that you have to follow the order of wudu.
Interesting.
And an example of that also is the saying of Allah about the pagans who denied the afterlife. They said, "In hiya illa hayatuna dunya namutu wa nahya." It is nothing but our dunya life. We die and we live. Namutu wa nahya. They said, had the wow been for sequence here, then they would be contradicting themselves, actually, because they would be saying, we die, then we come back to life. And they're not saying that. They're denying that we come back to life altogether. So that proves then that the wow doesn't have sequence.